to the Mayo Media Network. I am Chris Meaney. This is Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks. We have Eric Young hanging by 6 games on the ice for this Monday. We're going to break them all down, give some picks, some props, hopefully some first goals, some anytime goals, talk some season-long fantasy hockey as well. There's only 5 weeks left in fantasy hockey, the regular season, if you're playing head-to-head leagues. So it's time to cut dead weight and stream 4-game streamers. So we'll talk about all of that with Eric Young. But first, it is time for the Prize Picks play of the day. Several options that I really like over at prizepicks.com. You can mix and match all the sports that you love. The link is in the description for the promo code in there as well. So check that out. Just a reminder of the scoring: 3 points for a goal, 2 for an assist, half a point for a shot, half a point for a block. Tyler Toffoli is staring at me, 3.6. And he's playing the Vancouver Canucks. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Toffoli is having a pretty good year. 15 goals, tied for second with Connor McDavid in the NHL, just 3 behind Austin Matthews. He's got 75 shots. So I always talk about the shots. 3.2 shots per game is what he's averaging. So there's a nice solid floor there. And if he just hits the score sheet, we'll be on our way. He's lit up every Canadian team, to be honest. But the Canucks, he's just had his way against the Canucks, his former team. 5 games against Vancouver this year. He's got 7 goals, 11 points, and 25 shots. He has a 20% shooting percentage, which is a little bit unsustainable. Like, he's going to probably come down to earth a little bit. But dating back to last season, he's got 21 goals over his last 33 regular season games. So he's on a heck of a run right now. And I look at Vancouver 5-on-5. They've allowed the most scoring chances per 60 minutes, the most scoring chances, the most shots, the second most high danger chances, and the third most goals. 2.94 goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Also, they've been shorthanded 3.57 times per game. That's the 4th most. Toffoli's on that top power play unit as well. David Perron is next at 3.1. I like this one a lot. If you're just going to choose one, this would be the one I would go to. I saved it for last. Tarasenko is back in the lineup. It gives St. Louis 2 strong lines. They got Hoffman, Shen, and Perron together. Perron scored a goal and added an assist in his last game. He enters tonight on a 6-game point streak. He's got 4 goals and 8 points over that span, 19 shots, 3 power play points. So Tarasenko really helps that first power play unit, which Perron is on. 5 goals and 12 points in his last 9 games. So he's on a heck of a run as well. And Vancouver, really bad 5-on-5. San Jose, just as bad 5-on-5. We picked on them all week last week, and the Colorado guys hit. San Jose, they've allowed the 2nd most goals per 60 minutes, the 4th most scoring chances, and the 3rd most high danger chances. Perron has 1 goal and 5 points in his past 3 games against the Sharks and 7 shots over that span. I also like Shen over, Dustin Brown over, and Ricard Raquel over. Check out prizepicks.com and the link in the description. Let's bring in Eric Young. EY, what's up, man?
Christopher, it's been a wild ride. There's lots of questions. We were talking off air. Does Dallas finish the season? Texas is open for business March 10th. Everyone's insane. Yanni Gord's our new favorite hockey player. I mean, it's been a wild week. It's been a real wild week.
It has, yeah. I streamed Johnny Gord for the 3 games against the Hawks. I think they went Thursday, Friday, Sunday. You know how we like to get those random days. The Fridays and the Sundays are great days to stream. You're always making the tough calls on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And he just happened to have like 4 points yesterday, a game-winning goal. I really only streamed it for a couple face-off wins. But Tampa juggled their lines a bit. They went with Killorn, Stamkos, and Gord, and it seems to be working for Killorn too. This is a guy who, talked about shooting percentage off the top with Toffoli, unsustainable. Killorn last year had a career, everything was career high for him across the board. I think he had like a 21 shooting percentage. So it was normal to see some regression. But once you find 1 goal, and he had it in the first game against the Hawks, I think it was deflection. It was like they scored in overtime with 0.1 seconds left, and then he scored again, and then now he's got a goal in 3 straight games. You know this, even as a guy playing rec league. Maddie knows this, playing hockey. I played hockey. Hope people watching probably played hockey. NHLers will say this. Once you get 1, you start to feel yourself a little bit. Like Killorn has 3 now in a row. Riley Smith had gone weeks without a goal. He's got goals in back-to-back games. The Sharks helped them. They'll do that to anybody. They'll help you out. And then Mika Zibanejad last night scored a goal. Next time we talk about the Rangers, I'll be taking the Mika Zibanejad to score a goal. It's just, I don't know what it is, but once you get 1, you start to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's always been that way. Like there's no comparing me and an NHL player, but for me, it's like making 1 good pass. Or receiving a pass or doing any one thing that kind of feels like real hockey. and I get pumped up. I get excited. And for these guys, I mean, they do everything right over and over and over. That's the NHL. It is not a league of mistakes. It's a league of perfection. When you see goals, that's one of, 2 or 3 mistakes that happened that night. And once it happens, once it starts to go, Victor Arvidsson's another guy. I mean, hometown guy for me, but he's another guy that just got the monkey off his back 2 days ago. Did the fucking sweet celebration where he reached down, pulled the monkey off, the whole thing. John Hines was talking about it in his pregame yesterday. So yeah, I mean, it's something in fantasy to really pay attention, like ebbs and flows of the season. Guys like Riley, you talked about, he was a guy owned in our dynasty salary cap league. I mean, 5 million, and he wasn't scoring or getting assists, and I dropped him. I had to move on, and I did, and I think I still stand by that move, but you got to pay attention to this stuff. The ebbs and flows in fantasy hockey, it can make or break your season.
Yeah, like when I skate across the blue line and I don't trip, I feel a little bit better next time I'm going to skate across the blue line. If I trip over the blue line like Taylor Hall, then I'm a little uneasy when I come in on a 2-on-1 now, right? So
that's it. That's the season for the Buffalo Sabres.
Well, they played the Islanders 3 straight times. Like, you're not going to break out of your goal scoring slump when you play the New York Islanders. They just don't give up anything. They're so darn stingy. And the Sabres now, it's not even close between them and the Preds. I think the Preds, last time I checked, had scored the second fewest goals at 5-on-5 per 60 minutes. It's not even close, the gap between 1 and 2 when it comes to the Buffalo Sabres. So I don't know when they're going to turn it around. Elliot Friedman says they're absolutely open for business, taking calls on absolutely everybody. I would assume that means Jack Eichel. I mean, Taylor Hall just has the 1-year deal. So what are you even going to get for Taylor Hall? Yep. I don't know, man. It's rough. It's a rough go in Buffalo for sure. Luckily, they're not on the schedule today, so we don't have to talk too much about them. I saw you this morning. I thought I woke up early, hitting the waiver wire, and you were already up. And you already grabbed guys. We do this every day. This is or we do this every Monday. This is week 8 of the fantasy hockey season. I mentioned if you're playing head-to-head, you only have 5 weeks left until playoffs. So you really got to look at 4 streamers over at ftnfantasy.com. I have the article there, rest of the season rankings. There are 14 teams scheduled to play 4 games this week. There's just one team playing 2. That's the Calgary Flames. Man, tough go for them. They needed 2 points last night. They didn't get it from the Senators. What are you doing? What have you done so far? Waiver wire, who are you looking at?
Frank Vetrano is a guy that isn't massively owned. He's playing on the top line with Verhaeghe and Barkov. I mean, anybody that's going to play with Barkov, even if it was me, I feel like the puck might hit me and bounce to him and he scores or gives it to somebody that actually can shoot. Vetrano's been like a sneaky good player this year and even last year. He's a guy that I really like. He's under-owned. And another guy that is really low-owned right now, I think in Yahoo Leagues, it's 9%, Ryan Getzlaf. I mean, he plays a ton. When he wants to be, he's the best player on the ice. I feel like some of the younger guys coming up has sparked Anaheim, and they've been okay. And in the last 7 days, let me see here, Getzlaf has man, I just had it in front of me and now I've lost it. In the last 7 days, 2 goals and assists, 6 shots on goal, 6 hits, 5 blocks. Like, he's filling up a bunch of categories. Even if he doesn't score, he's giving you help in other places, plus face-off wins. So that's a guy that is grossly under-owned, in my opinion, to be only 9%. Like, are we in bizarro land? Ryan Getzlaf is only 9%.
Yeah, I know. Times have changed a little bit, but yeah, he's trending up. His teammate Ricard Raquel is trending up as well. He's got 81 shots in the season, 30 over his past 8 games. He has 3 goals and 9 points over a current 5-game streak. So the Ducks have 5 games. They're in action tonight. We'll talk about them in a little bit. They play the Kings. And what I like about the Ducks is, you can go to waiver wire and you can find them because they're widely available, but they have the Friday game and the Saturday game against the Sharks. I'm telling you guys, the Sharks are brutal defensively. So Raquel, Fowler has got a bunch of points over the past 2 or 3 weeks as well. Not going to block a lot of shots, not going to shoot the puck a ton, but getting some block shots in there. I'll just going to rapid fire through, but if you guys want to check out the article, ftnfantasy.com, you can use the promo code Meaney to get involved. It's not going to cost you a whole lot. It's pretty cheap the rest of the way. The rest of the season rankings are in there as well, but a few guys that are just under 60% that shouldn't be, like William Karlsson, Alex Tuck, Kadri, Sorelli, Zuccarello. Konechny is back in the lineup. He's producing. Natchez, Batherson. Chandler Stevenson, Niederreiter, Kevin Hayes, and Thomas Tatar are starting to trend up a little bit too. Since the coaching change, he's starting to feel himself a little bit. I wanted to just throw out Shane Gostisbehere for a second. His ownership is now 7% in Yahoo leagues. I own him in 4 leagues, and he's available in 3 other that I play a lot of fantasy hockey. That's I'm a psycho like Eric, but he's trending up, man. He looks good too. He the past few games, 6 shots, 4, 5, 6. He's got 3 goals over his last 6 or 7 games. He's playing 21, 22 minutes a night. He's quarterbacking the number 1 power play. I watched the entire game last night against the Caps. He looked unbelievable. He looked like the old Gostisbehere when he came out on the scene, and he was scoring left and right. He was playing good defense. He was blocking shots. I think it's time to just grab him. The Flyers have a lot of games to make up. The Dallas Stars have a lot of games to make up. The Devils have a lot of games to make up. You want to have these guys that are going to be playing 4 games. The Flyers have 3 games this week, but they have a couple 4-game weeks after that. So Shane Gostisbehere, in my opinion, is almost a must-add on defense. If you just need some help, you want some scoring punch, you want some power play production, he's a guy that I'm taking a look at. Let's talk about tonight. Let's start with Minnesota and Vegas. This is weird. The games are at 8 Eastern rather than 7 Eastern. So you have an extra hour to get your lineup set, to get your bets in and your picks in. So Vegas, they've won 6 straight games. They beat Minnesota twice last week, 5-1 and 5-4. The one game they came all the way back and then won in overtime. The Wild have lost 3 of 4 now. Meaney at home plus 105, 11-11 against the spread, 13-8-1. This total is 5.5. Vegas minus 125, 10-11 against the spread, 16-4-1. Of course, they are up at the top of their division with 33 points in 21 games. The Blues, they are 2 back, but they played 4 more games than Vegas. The Golden Knights are unbelievable. One note to keep an eye on, Mark Stone left the last game. They said that it was just precaution because they were playing the Sharks. They didn't actually say that, but I assume it was because they were playing the Sharks. Man, I'm hard on San Jose. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup tonight, but if he's not, Alex Tuck went up on that top line with Stevenson and Pacioretty, and he has been awesome, especially lately. He scored the 2 goals in there. Eric, last week we said we would just take Vegas anytime we would get them at minus 140. Now they're minus 125. I don't know how you feel about this game.
It's hard for me because
you're such a Kaprizov fan. That's what it is.
I'm falling in love with the Minnesota Wild. And
me too.
I think it's happening in a lot of places. I think we talked about this in the first show we did this year. I put a bet on them before the season to make the Stanley Cup and win the Stanley Cup. I feel like a bunch of people are kind of jumping on that now. I don't imagine the odds are as good as they were at the start of the season. They were, I think, the second lowest other than Ottawa. So that's where I put my money, on Ottawa and Minnesota. Don't take that advice. But what I'm saying is Minnesota is a very, very good hockey team. I questioned if they had the depth down the middle. Eriksson statistically, analytically is having an unbelievable season. No one saw that coming. Kaprizov is the catalyst. I mean, he shows up, and when he's on the ice, something is going to happen. And in my opinion, the Minnesota Wild have maybe a top 3 defense core in the whole league, and they're getting really good goaltending. So this is a dangerous team, man. And playing against San Jose, and look, Anaheim is a little bit better than they were, and LA just come off that winning streak. But look, those are not strong teams. The Minnesota Wild is going to take advantage. I don't know if I could bet on the Golden Knights, especially if there's no Mark Stone to win this game tonight.
Yeah, he's going to be the key. Maybe you wait it out a little bit to see if he's going to play. But I think I agree with everything he said. I love the Wild. I love their D. I think they're strong in net, and they're 19-1 right now to win the cup here. Looking at DraftKings Sportsbook, so that's not an awful bet to make. I mean, they're gonna have to they're gonna have to unfortunately get through some really good teams in Colorado, Vegas, and St. Louis. But you got to beat the best to get to the finals, right? So that's just the way it is. But they're not going to have an easy game throughout. I think that they're going to get into the playoffs. I'm just going to ride Vegas here. It's going to be tight. I'll probably sweat it out. I like the Wild, like you said, but I got to stick to my original thinking from last week. If I see Vegas at minus 125, I don't care if they're away from home, which they have been awesome at home. I'm going to take them. I think it's going to be a fascinating game to watch. Matt, do you have a feel on this game? Do you split the tie here?
I'm the same way as you here. I'm just going to take Vegas at this price. I'm not super confident, won't throw them in a lot of parlays, but I'll just take it and sweat it out.
You know, Ryan Suter is on that number one power play. I've written him up a couple times over at ftndaily.com, and, you know, he hasn't really worked out. I like Dumba as well, but he's 3.9. He was 3.3 the other day. He's just getting a ton of power play time. He's got 9 shots. That's right, 9 shots over the past 2 games. So he's been okay. I mean, he's 20 DraftKings points for a guy who's 3.3 and 3.7. That's fine. I know a lot of people want to go to Dumba, and that's okay too. I like Dumba. But that first power play unit, you mentioned Eriksson Ek, and then Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and Fiala. That power play has been lit. I mean, they haven't had a lot of goals, but they've had a lot of opportunities. And Suter's played 50 minutes, just shy of 50 minutes over his last 2 games. He had 6 minutes of power play time the other night to Dumba's 2.5. I know, what a freak, right? He doesn't have any goals. He's got 8 assists. He's not a big sniper. I mean, you know him very well.
Never has been. He's just
right. He's never been. Yeah.
He's just never in the wrong place. I mean, I liken him to like kind of like a Nicholas Lindstrom kind of thing. Like he's not ever going to like jump off the page and wow you with anything, but like I want my defenseman. I want people not talking about my defenseman.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Every time they're talking about them, they're in bad situations. Yeah, he's never in a bad one. So I think we'll get to DFS plays in a little bit, but I think he's a sneaky one. I don't love him as much against Vegas, and if Fleury's going to start, Fleury doesn't give up anything, but he's somebody to keep an eye on anyways. He's trending up. Anytime I see a defenseman on the number one power play flirting with 6 power play minutes, that is massive. That's huge. So I am completely all about that. Zuccarello, he is his shot prop over on DraftKings 1.5 plus 100. Matt, wasn't he minus 112 the other day at 1.5?
Yeah, he was dirt cheap. It was kind of ridiculous.
So what's going on here? Now he's plus money. He's got 2 shots in 3 straight games. I'm seeing this morning on Yahoo, people are dropping him. I don't know, like what happened, Eric? He must have went a game without a goal. I mean, that line has been awesome between him and Kaprizov over the last 9 games. I think they've combined for 20 points. Zuccarello went 1.2, 4, 2, 1, 1, then 2 games without one. Then he had a multi-point game, and then he had nothing against Zona. And now he's got 4 games this week, 2 against Vegas. I get that's part of it, but his ownership has dropped 3% over the last 24 hours. I still like him, and I definitely going to take a shot plus money on his shot prop here at 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, Zuccarello, we talked about a similar kind of player last year with Duclair. I mean, he's a guy that Zuccarello probably wasn't drafted in most leagues because he was hurt to start the year, not available. And if he was drafted, I mean, it's a very deep league. Then he comes in, he doesn't start super hot, but then he starts, you know, he's part of every goal that the Minnesota Wild are scoring. And but he's one of those players that like will just get dropped and picked up and dropped and picked up constantly. If I'm in a league with people dropping him, I'm picking him up. He's always been a guy that's got it done. And the Minnesota Wild, they rely on him for offense, and playing with Kaprizov is going to make him a better player.
So he's 1.5 plus money. Max Pacioretty is 3.5 minus 167. Just happens to wear 67. Maybe that's meant to be. I like that one too. Alex Tuck 14-1 first goal and plus 240 anytime goal. I think that's a good one, especially if Stone's going to be out. And I think the long shot, it doesn't even seem like a long shot considering Tuck has been, what does he have? 12 goals and Riley Smith has maybe 3. Same odds, 14-1 for Riley Smith and 243. There's something to be said about players. NHL is so streaky. And for Riley Smith, he's a 4-time 20-goal scorer. He basically scores 18 every year. He entered the weekend with a career low shooting percentage. Now he's got goals in back-to-back. He is somebody to keep an eye on. I'm telling you, when guys just score, they just start to feel themselves a little bit. So those are the ones I like Smith and Tuck. 14-1 on both of those guys. You want to take some shots. Colorado and Arizona in here next. The Avs at home. Heavy favorites minus 185. Not expected to be with Nathan MacKinnon, or I don't think Cale Makar. On Saturday, the Avs said that they expect MacKinnon to be out for a few days. And they lost over the weekend to the Ducks 5-4. They just squeaked by in the first game against Anaheim 3-2. They took care of Arizona a couple weeks ago pretty easily in 2 games, outscoring them 9-4. Zona plus 165 here, 11-10-3 on the year. Colorado 13-7-2. The total is 5.5. plus 165 for Zona. I'm kind of, man, I don't think I have the stones, but I'm not going to bet Colorado today. I feel like if there's going to be an upset, this is going to be one, man. No Makar and no McKinnon. That's tough. And the Avs have kind of been underwhelming this year, in my opinion. I think maybe expectations a little higher, but this may be upset alert.
Yeah, Arizona is sneaky.
They compete.
Very good goaltending. Connor Garland is an absolute sniper, just a tiny little runt of a man, but just competes like a wild man. He doesn't care. Gets in there, gets in front of the net, shoots the puck like a lunatic. I like Arizona. And right now, if there's going to be no McKinnon and no Makar, if there's ever a time to bet against Colorado, it's right now.
Right. I mean, they just lost to the Ducks, right? 5-4. I mean, they allowed 4 goals or 5 goals to the Ducks. I don't know, Matt, are we crazy here to think Zona could pull off the upset here? I mean, I'm looking right now. It's early when we're recording. I don't think McKinnon's going to play. Makar didn't join them on the road trip, so he's possible. It's possible he could return to the lineup. He's missed a handful of games in a row. I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
It's one thing betting Colorado without Makar. It's one thing betting them without Makar and McKinnon. And I just can't pull the trigger on that team without McKinnon this year. I mean, if they showed for the full season that they're dominant like they did last season, then I'd be much more comfortable on a 1-off or 2-off game without Nathan. But in this case, I don't even want to touch this game. I'll watch it because it'll be a fast as hell game. But I want nothing betting wise in this game. Maybe a shot prop on Rantanen, but that's it.
Do you see what Rantanen's at now? They're starting to adjust. He's minus 200.
Now I don't like that much.
That one's tough. I would rather it just be plus money at 3.5. I mean, Rantanen is getting there every time. If anybody's been watching the show, I mean, he's our go-to guy every single time. 3, 4, 4, 3. I mean, he just 74 shots, 12 goals. He's got his past 3 games. 2 of them have been multi-goal games for him. He is awesome. He's playing 21 minutes a night. They got him with Kadri and then Burakovsky on that top line. They took Landeskog off. They're trying to balance their offense. It's just they need some secondary scoring. Where's the secondary scoring going to come from? Nichushkin had a couple points the other night, and Burakovsky needs to get going. So, yeah, I'll probably stay away too. I don't think anybody should bet the Avs. I think at minus 185 without their 2 studs. I mean, if McKinnon comes back and Makar comes back, it's gonna be up to 200. So I'll just stay away. But if anyone's looking for an upset, I think this is it, guys. I think it's Arizona. But none of us have the stones to do it. But look for.
I did it.
You did it.
Stones.
You just made it. You just made the bet. Okay.
Yep.
You got a Connor Garland shot prop there over 2.5, maybe a
I like
goal
that.
for him.
Yeah, I like that.
You can probably find Rand in other books. Not every book is caught on to what he's doing. 175 potentially. If you're north of the border, that's what it's usually been. 175 is about as high as I'll go. Maybe bet 365. You see what you can find there. But minus 200 is a little bit high. Ottawa and Edmonton in here next. The Sens, they're scrappy, EY. You know that. Last night they hung on. Yep. Well, they gave a couple up late, but they won in the shootout. Tim Stützle had a nice little shootout winner there. Actually, I don't think he had the winner, but he had the goal. But yeah, what a player. He had the shootout goal there. They're big road dogs here tonight against the Oilers. Edmonton minus 240. Ottawa plus 200. Makes sense. They're not going to see Murray, I don't think. He played last night. 8-17-1 Ottawa, 15-11 for the Oilers. The Oilers made a change, too, in their lines over the weekend. They played Calgary. They came back. I think they were down 2-0. They came back and won the game. They loaded up. And they've done this before in the past, especially when they're down. They put McDavid and Draisaitl together, and they had Yamamoto on there. And Yamamoto broke out of his slump and scored a goal. I don't know. Daily Faceoff doesn't have that trio together again. I wouldn't be shocked if they just load it up again, but it is the Sens, so maybe they don't have to do that. What do you think for this game?
They don't want to do that, right? Like
I know they don't
feel
want
like
to, yeah.
Bad play forces them to do that. So they don't want to do that. They want to have those guys with their own line, their 2-star players. But I mean, Tippett, as soon as they're behind, I mean, he's going to do it, and it's his right to do it. And I think he should do it. I mean, that's, what better way to get someone like Yamamoto going or get a goal than putting 2 of the top 5 best players in the world together on the ice at the same time? For me, this is the Ottawa Senators that I thought was going to exist. I know they had a rough start, but they're in every game. I mean, they're hard to play against. they're relentless. There's, they're scrappy, man. And it's not just fun to say. I mean, over the last couple of weeks, they've won games that they probably shouldn't. And this is going to continue for the rest of the season. I'm going, I just put $5 on them. They're going to win tonight.
Who?
Ottawa.
Oh, baby. I like
Here
it.
we go.
All right. That's the upset then. You're all over the upsets tonight. Ottawa,
I'm all over the upsets tonight.
and Zona.
Two teams that I believe in. You know what I mean? If you're going to give me those odds, and I just think that either one of these teams can win at any point. So, especially Arizona, just because of the goaltending there. But for me, Ottawa is a team that they're going to have plus odds most of the time. And look,
and why not take a shot, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying to follow my lead. I'm saying that if you want to make money, this is how to do it. It's how to lose money too.
Well, Edmonton is 4-0 against them. The first game was real bad. It was 8-5 and then 4-2, but the last two were much tighter, 3-1 and 3-2. So there were much tighter games. So Ottawa's adjusted a little bit, and they have been competitive. You're right. They're hanging around with everybody this year. I mean, they got blown out in that one game, but for the most part, this is a team that does hang around. They've taken 3 of 5 against the Flames. They've beaten the Habs 3 times, I believe. They've beaten the Leafs a couple times. I think the Oilers are the only team that has maybe given them fits, but like I said, it's been fairly close. Would you play them at all in DFS? Because that is the way to actually get involved with some higher price. Like if you think this is going to be a shootout, maybe you take the over. You could take some Oiler guys there. Maybe you load up on, I don't know, maybe you load up on Vegas and the expensive guys there. But if you want, like, Batherson is now up to 5K. He was 3 something the other day. Stützle is 4-4. Like, those are the two guys to me. There's some value. You can get them in your lineup, and then you can, spend up elsewhere. Are those the guys you would look at in Ottawa?
Absolutely. I mean, anybody that's playing against the Edmonton Oilers, look, I think anytime you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, there's going to be, a desire to win hockey games. You mean people think that they can win. The reality is their defense core is absolutely rotten. They didn't do anything to address it. And adding Tyson Barrie is not fixing your defense, and they didn't do anything in the net either. I mean, I understand that they went after Markstrom, but they lost, and they didn't do anything. Koskinen is not a starting NHL goalie. Anytime there's that kind of a recipe, and I feel when teams go in, they think about McDavid on the other side. They think about Draisaitl, and they're like, look, we're going to have to push the pace. We're going to have to score to beat this team because those guys are going to score. So in DFS, starting people that play against Edmonton is always a good idea. That's my opinion, and I do it all the time, and I've done very well this year.
Especially if Mikko Koskinen is in net. I don't know if it'll be him or Mike Smith, but when Koskinen, he's got an .897 save percentage, a 3.39 goals against average. He's been brutes. So I don't hate the call, Eric. It's one I'm going to stay away from. Again,
Come on,
maybe puck line, but you're doing it, man. You're feeling it, and I love it. Brady Tkachuk minus 118, 3.5 shots is one that I don't mind. It seems like when I take him, he just gets on 3. Last night he was on 3 and I had him, but I don't mind going to that one sometimes. And, McDavid is sometimes plus money. Where is he? He's minus 106, 3.5. I don't mind that. If they go back to... If I see that their lines are back to normal, I will like Nugent Hopkins for anytime goal with Draisaitl. But Yamamoto is staring at me 13-1, scored in his last game. I think I don't know. I know they don't have to, but I have a feeling they'll start how they finished last game with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto. It seemed to get Yamamoto because they just need some secondary scoring, right? They need some other people to score. They went. What did McDavid go?
How long is this going to go on? How long have we been saying that exact thing?
I don't know. It's going to go on until
McDavid's whole career.
Trade Hopkins
something
for
has to happen.
A couple pieces, or I don't know. But McDavid had gone 3 games without a point. I think 3 or 4. He had never gone more than 4 in his whole career.
Yeah, it was 3. It was against the Maple Leafs.
So it was 3, and then he scored. He got a point, and they were showing the graphic. I think 3 or 4 times in his career he's gone 3 games without a point, never 4, which is crazy. The consistency to be able just to end a mini slump like that. Yeah, it was 3 games against the Leafs, and then he broke out with 3 points. Okay. I do like Brady, and I like Yamamoto 13-1 plus 200 anytime goal. I like this game a lot from a DFS standpoint. This next one, St. Louis and San Jose, the Sharks at home plus 130, the Blues minus 150, 6-19 against the spread. I know the Blues have burned a lot of people, myself included. Cam, probably you, Eric, Batty, a lot of people. The totals here 6, 14, 8-3 St. Louis, 12-10 against the spread for the Sharks. I like St. Louis. I like them in DFS. I like a lot of their shot props. I'm not seeing Tarasenko anywhere. I know this Blues team has been hot or cold, and they're not getting the goaltending in Binnington. And I've said it a couple times about them trying to adjust on the blue line from losing Pietrangelo, who is just an absolute stud. But you get Tarasenko back in your lineup, and I think it gives you a little bit of balance. I know they're still missing a couple guys up front, but I'm in on the Blues, man. Minus 150. It's more about the Sharks to me. I watch them play and they scramble. Eric, defensively, they're not great. Carlson has taken a major step back. Brent Burns, the broadcast the other night when I was watching Vegas and San Jose, they were really taking some shots at Brent Burns and Carlson. And it was almost like they were just fed up with watching them play over the past year. I still think they're good defensemen, but they're just nowhere near what they used to be, and they're still logging a lot of minutes. So I like this St. Louis team. They're hot. I know they lost their last game and they gave up a 3-0 lead and they lost 4-3 to the Kings, but they had won 4 straight before that. And they split the 2 games against San Jose last month, which doesn't make you feel a little bit easy. Doesn't make you feel all that easy about picking them, but I like them. I like their 2 lines now with Tarasenko there. Are you with me, or are you going upset again with San Jose?
No, I am not going upset with San Jose. St. Louis is an unreal hockey team. Then they add Tarasenko. You get performances like we were talking before we started the show about Zach Sanford, a guy that was playing top line and was playing power play. He's not playing that now because Tarasenko's there, but he's on the third line, and the Berube rolls all these guys. They're getting scoring from Sundqvist and Sammy Blaze and Zach Sanford. Like, this is a deep hockey team, a really, really good hockey team. And San Jose is just not. They're just not a good hockey team and no goaltending. So, yeah, I'm not going upset there. St. Louis is a team that even when they're in a slump, I find it really hard to bet against them.
Yeah, for sure. Minus 150 is not bad. Tarasenko, as I mentioned, I think off the top of the show, he returned, played 16 minutes, had 4 shots, played up top with his boy, Ryan O'Reilly. So I just like that second line quite a bit in DFS. We'll get to it in a little bit, but Tarasenko is cheap. He was 2.5 on Saturday on DraftKings. He's now 4-something. They're just snoozing there. But Perron is 2.5 plus 115. I like that one quite a bit. Like I said, I can't find Tarasenko, but Shannon Hoffman and Perron, those are just 3 snipers together. I like that line a lot for DFS and for anything. As I mentioned in Prize Picks, Perron is just on a heck of a run. So give me the Blues. And I was looking here. Yeah, Perron plus 175. He's 12-1 for first time goal. So I like him. Tarasenko's juiced up there. He's heavily favored to score a first time goal. I don't know if it's not a bad play. To play 16 minutes in your first game, he's recovering from his 3rd shoulder surgery, but to play 16 minutes and put 4 shots on net, that's pretty productive, I'd say, for your first game, and even threw a hit. Right? He doesn't throw hits normally, but the fact that he threw one, I think makes me think he's feeling all right, Eric.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of minutes on a team that really, they roll 4 lines. That's a lot of ice time for a guy coming off shoulder surgery. So obviously he's fine. They believe in him. He's an awesome player.
Yeah, he really is. All right, Kings and Ducks in here next. Anaheim plus 100, 17-8 against the spread, 7-12-6. They've hung around all year. Minus 120 for LA, 18-5 against the spread. The total here is 5.5, 10-8-5 LA. What do you think?
We talked about Getzlav. We talked about Anaheim being better, but man, I just have a hard time believing in this team. And I like the Los Angeles Kings. They're definitely on the right trajectory. Playing a bunch of. It's weird. Like 5 years ago, they're like this big, bruising, slow team, and now they've got speed everywhere, all over the ice. They're definitely on their way to building a team that is good in today's hockey. The old bruising, slow north-south tabletop kind of hockey, it's over with. I mean, you got to have guys that can skate. Guys that are playing 8 minutes on your fourth line can skate, and you got to have guys that can skate, and they're doing that. So I'm definitely I'm not doing Anaheim for the upset here tonight.
They've lost 10 of their last 11. The Ducks.
Yeah.
Like
there's all you really need to know.
Yeah, like they finally got that W against Colorado, a shorthanded Avs team. Good on them.
Yep.
They took them to overtime in both games, which is, again, good on them. But Gibson hasn't looked as strong, and I think I said this in the last show. I'm not sure. One of the shows last week is that Gibson's numbers. He hasn't looked as good lately, and it's just not him. It's the team in front of him. Yes, they're playing a little bit better. They're getting production from Getzlaf and Raquel, but yeah, I got to go with the Kings. I got to lean with LA here. They had lost 4 straight, but then they beat the Blues. That nice comeback, as I mentioned. So I'm going to go with LA at minus 120. Shot props, Dustin Brown. Dustin Brown's been a favorite for us for a few games. He has had at least 3 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of his past 10 games. He has 11 in his last 2 games. He had 8 shots on goal the other day. So he is just shooting a ton. He's got 12 goals in the year. He's got an unsustainable shooting percentage as well. Like, I don't know how invested I would go into him, scoring a ton of goals and first-time goals and whatnot, but he is 13-1 and he's on a bit of a run. And he's shooting that much. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Somebody asked me, like, where these first-time, anytime goals, like, I'm not trying to pick superstars all the time. Like, I know we got chirped about Pasternak one time, but I'm picked people who shoot on the power play and the shot volume, and that are going to be matched up against weaker lines. And this is what we're going to get here with the Kings up against the Ducks. And so I like Dustin Brown there in the shot prop. It had been plus money for a little bit. Raquel is another one. I'm surprised he's minus 162 and that Dustin Brown would be, minus 112 or plus money for a while. I know Raquel's on a bit of a run lately, but he had a bunch of games early on in the year where he wasn't doing anything. But he has eclipsed 3 shots now in 5 straight games, and in 7 of his past 8. He's been over 2.5. So he's a guy that's just another guy that's shooting. Mentioned off the top, just a lot of points. Recently, he enters on a 5-game point streak where he's got 9 points over that span and 3 goals. So he's starting to feel himself a little bit too. Playing a lot, 21 minutes in his last game against the Avs. I know that game went to overtime, but still, 21 minutes is quite a bit. One more game. Montreal and Vancouver. You're on the Kings, right? You said you're on the Kings?
I'm on the Kings, yeah.
All right. What are you doing here? Habs and Canucks plus 130 for Vancouver.
I feel like Demko has kind of turned the corner here. I don't know if he's playing tonight for sure, but
he's got to play tonight, doesn't he? He's been so good for them.
I don't see why you wouldn't play him. I mean, he's young. Like, he'll be fine. He is playing very well, and in turn, the Vancouver Canucks are playing very well. Montreal is, I'm sorry to say, it's just a team I don't trust at all right now. They seem really fragile. And have not been playing great. Vancouver has, so I'm going Vancouver to win tonight.
Maddie, what did you see from the Canucks in those 3 games against the Leafs? Was it Demko just stealing the show?
It's a lot of Demko stealing the show. I was a bonehead and sat Demko in one of my leagues because I thought, well, he's going to get shelled. And then, but it's a lot of just Vancouver looks better as a whole. Their power play doesn't look that bad. They're actually snapping the puck around on the power play. Guys like JT Miller are starting to wake up and shoot the puck a lot more. It's not a perfect storm. It's just this team has always needed that goaltending boost in terms of you get a couple key saves and the guys are going to feel that and they're going to start to perform a lot better. And as long as you keep trotting Demko out there, the Canucks are a sneaky underdog play. I don't know if I like them against the Habs, though. It's still uncomfortable for me to bet against the Habs, even though they have been reeling. And that felt really good to say. I'm sorry. But with the Canucks, if Demko does get the start, then I might sprinkle a bit on the Canucks. But if it goes right to Holtby, then I'm going to sprinkle a lot on the Habs.
Oh, baby. It's not going to Holtby, guys. Come on. It's got to go to Demko. Like, Demko has been the reason that they're winning hockey games lately.
I
He's
mean,
been really good.
the Nashville Predators went back to a 38-year-old Pekka Rinne 2 nights in a row on a travel day. So I am like completely
How about
done.
that stick save last night, though?
Incredible.
Yeah, I'm looking. They don't have a back-to-back. Demko, yeah, I mean, he's got to 2.87 goals against average, 913 save percentage. I'm going to disagree with you guys. Surprise, surprise. I have picked on the Habs lately, but on Saturday, they put up a 7 spot. Come on, they're feeling themselves now. They got the 7 goals, like they were struggling. Now they're going to Vancouver, where they've won 4 straight games against the Canucks, outscoring them 28-15 or 23-9. They have outscored them in 5 games, 28-15. There's been a lot of goals. I know a lot has changed since then. The Canucks are starting to play a little bit better. Is Pettersson going to play tonight? I don't know. I got to go with the Habs here, guys. It just makes me feel like a homer. You guys make me feel like a homer, but that's not it. I liked what I saw from them against the Jets, some confidence. Carey Price making some nice saves. It was a 7-1 win against the Jets. I don't know if I would go over, even though looking at the last few times they played, like look at these games, 6-5 shootouts, 7-3, 5-2, 6-2. 5-3. Like all those games were over. There was goals left, right, and center. It was early on in the year when Price was shaky and Braden Holtby was getting starts and he was shaky. So I don't think I would go with the over, considering what Demko has. Like, he's looked really good, and that's what I saw too. I saw a Leafs team, honestly, that dominated Vancouver in those games, and Demko stood on his head. He played really good. So it is a little risky to go and put your money against a goalie who has looked good, but I think Montreal just has Vancouver's number. I like what they've done lately with the lines. They've shaken them up a bit. They got Tatar back on the top line, who's shown up lately, who's a healthy scratch under Julian. He wasn't getting any power play time. There was a game in the third period, they're down a goal, and he didn't even touch the ice. This is a guy who led the team in scoring last year. And they're trying to get Kotkaniemi going a bit, so they put Toffoli and Anderson, who are 1 and 2 on the team in goals, to get him going. That line scored twice. Kotkaniemi hit the score sheet, so I got to lean with Montreal here, but I'm not going to go with the over. I think we're going to start to see Price guys play a little bit better, and Demko has looked good. I think he'll get the start. If it is Holtby, maybe I'll change my tune, and I'm sure you guys will change your tune as well. Maybe we go with the overs. But the shot props, Toffoli is juiced up too much for me now, 177, 2.5. I won't do it. It's just too much for me. I think if you can find them somewhere, again, other sports books will have -140, -150. Anderson, they'll have -120. Anderson put a ton of pucks on net when he returned to the lineup on Saturday. So I like that line. I would stay away from the Suzuki Duran Armia line. That one now is, to me, the line not to target in DFS, when I liked them earlier when Anderson and Toffoli were playing there. What did I have here for goals? 14-1 Anderson. Here's a long shot. Kotkaniemi 19-1 for first time goal. I know I'm psycho. I'm such a homer. All right. Anything to add, Eric?
No, I think you covered it. I'm going Vancouver here because I think they're feeling it. Demko is feeling it, especially if Pettersson plays. It just makes it more of a complete team with Pettersson at center, Miller back on the wing. So I'm going that way. I understand what you're saying, and that does make sense, but I just can't trust Montreal right now.
Maybe the Leafs are just going to finally go through some adversity. Who knows? I mean, you can't win every game, I guess. No? Crickets?
True.
No adversity?
True.
None? All right.
You had a little smirk on your face. I saw that.
Big couple games against the Jets this week coming up for the Leafs. Is there anything there with Matthews' wrist? It hasn't scored lately. I know that's what people are going to say.
Sure.
He's still shooting a ton.
Yeah.
No?
I mean, definitely. I mean, being hurt, you're thinking
He's
about
playing
it.
through something.
And that's 100%. Yeah, 100%. Got hit with a puck in his wrist. And I don't think it's he's not going to miss any games. But, I mean, right now he's statistically on a slide. But he's still, he's all over the ice. Things happen. He's a savage. This is the best he's ever looked.
All right, let me give it a Canucks, not to be a complete homer. Bo Horvat, plus 230 anytime goal, 15-1. Like that.
I like that.
Like that Kotkaniemi one, though, 19-1. All right, DraftKings. Let's start at the center position. McDavid up at the top, 9-2. McKinnon, don't think he's going to play, but keep an eye, 8-9. If he does play, I obviously have no problem with him, but according to reports, it looks like he's going to miss a few games. Continuing in center, Draisaitl 8-1, Couture 6-7. So a huge drop off from those top three down to the next tier with Couture. Pettersson, what's the latest here on Pettersson? It's just he was ruled out on Saturday. There's nothing. Like I watched the pregame on Saturday and they just don't have any reports. There's nothing. They're just unsure. They don't even know what the injury is. Kadri 6-3. He's been getting a lot of ice time lately. Kopitar 6-2, O'Reilly 6-1, Shen 6, Miller 5-6, Suzuki 5-5, Horvat 5-4. So yeah, Suzuki is a guy that I normally like, but I don't like him with just the line juggling. I'm not into it. It's either line 1 for Montreal or line 3. What are you doing up at the top? You're in on Ottawa, so would you just game stack Ottawa and Edmonton? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going a weird kind of like 2-2 with Arizona tonight and Ottawa. This sounds like maybe I've been drinking. I don't.
Hey, dude, you got to think outside the box. You're playing DFS.
You have to. Yeah, you have to. So yeah, I'm going Norris and Stützle, and I think I'm going to go with Schmaltz and Connor Garland for my other two forwards. Then I'll probably pay up for somebody. I haven't decided who that's going to be yet. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. And I think maybe if Pettersson plays, he could be cheaper than he normally has because he's been out. So that would be somebody to keep an eye on. But yeah, those are the four players that I'm kind of starting my lineup with: Arizona players and Ottawa Senators players. I mean, this is why you guys tune in. I feel like I just give out bad advice. It's insane, but it's what I think. It's what I believe. I mean, I'm putting money on those two teams to win, and I'm going to pick players that are on those two teams because I think they're going to score.
That's it. That's what it's all about. If you think those guys are going to score, I've written up Ottawa almost every single time that they play over at FTN. We were on them last night. We needed more goals, unfortunately, but it is the way to go. Like there's so much value. They're starting to catch up. At the start of the season, like Stützle was 2.5, Batherson was 2.5. The only guy that was over 4K was Shabbat. I mean, even Dadonov, when he was on his run, he was 2.4. He was 2.5. He got up to 3K. He's not a guy I would play now. I don't even know if he touched. I think he's hurt. I don't think he really even touched the ice last night in the third period. But I don't hate it. I am gonna spend up on McDavid here tonight and just try to find some value. There's a ton of value at center. I mentioned Kotkaniemi. He's got the 3 points over his last 4 games. What is he? He's under 3K. I think he's 3.3. Actually, that's not bad. Chandler Stevenson is another guy that I like on that top line. He's scoring some points lately. He's only 4.6. But I do like the calls from you. Like Schmaltz is 5K. William Karlsson is 5.2. They've been on a little bit of a heater. But my favorite stack is honestly St. Louis. Like I'm just going to get involved with the Blues tonight. I like Shen at 6K from the center position. But Norris is a good call. I mean, he's 4.2. That's the line, right? To attack the Stützle and Norris and Batherson line. I like that one quite a bit. Over at wing, we got Pacioretty 8.3, Rantanen 7.7, Nugent Hopkins 7.4, Toffoli 7.3, Kachuk 7.2, Perron 7. I really like Perron. He's getting up there in price, 7K. Landeskog is underpriced in my opinion, 6.5, but I'm not totally into him with no McKinnon. He's not playing with Rantanen. Stone 6.3, keep an eye. Garland 6.2, Evander Kane 6.1, Gallagher coming off a 2-goal game. He is 6K. So if you were to spend up at the top on any of these wingers, who would it be? Garland?
I mean, I have him in my lineup for sure. I would think about Pacioretty too, man. It just seems like he scores every game. It's crazy. And a guy that I'm starting my utility is on from you is Riley Smith. I mean, like you score. This is a good player. I mean, a couple of years ago, you're like Vegas is rolling and they're interviewing the players and like, who should we, who's someone we're not talking about? We should be. Every single player says Riley Smith. I mean, he's one of those hidden gems, an unbelievable hockey player, good all over the ice. And now he scored and is probably feeling it. And he's cheap. So.
Yeah, he is. It was funny listening to the Vegas broadcast the other day, and they were just talking about how they got some of these guys like Riley Smith and then Jonathan Marchessault. It's like, okay, if you take Marchessault, we'll give you Riley Smith. And then Tuck was like, okay, if you just take Eric Holla, Minnesota's like, okay, we'll give you Alex Tuck. We'll just throw him in if you just don't take this guy from us. It's like, oh, thanks.
Crazy.
He's got all these studs. But Pacioretty has 32 shots over the past 2 weeks. It's a league high. Philip Forsberg's right there too, 31. Brady Tkachuk, 31. So Max Pacioretty is shooting a ton and scoring a lot. He's got 4 goals and 8 points over that span. I think he's the best play at wing. It is tough against Meaney, but he's my favorite of the bunch there. I mean, Nugent Hopkins is okay, but I'm not going to like him as much if they just don't have him with Drysdale or McDavid. But those are the wings. But I wrote down a few others here that I just think are fairly cheap. I mean, we mentioned Raquel is just an interesting play. Tuck is 4'8". Josh Anderson is 5'4". Tatar is 4'6". Tarasenko is 4'2". Like, you have to, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you have to play
at 4'2", I feel like you have to almost.
He was 2'5". As I mentioned in the first game, he had the 4 shots, played 16 minutes against the Sharks. Are you kidding me? You have to play this guy. His ownership's probably going to be around at least 50%. I know people may be worried about his ice time, but at that point, at that price on DK, going to get top power play time. I think that's just the way to go. Yamamoto 3.9, and then Riley Smith is 3.5. So my favorite stacks here before we get to defense and goalies, St. Louis, Edmonton, and I do like the Habs. I just think there's some value there to be had with some of those players. I mentioned Tatar, and like 4-6. He's entering tonight on a 3-game point streak. He's got 5 assists over that span. He's shooting a little bit more, not as much as I'd like him to, but he's, that line has looked a lot better lately with Deneau and Gallagher scoring some points. Over on D, Brett Burns 6'7", Nurse 6'6", Petrie 6'5", Shabbat 6'4", Weber 6'3", Chikrin 6'1", Pietrangelo is 6'2" in there. He's day-to-day. He's questionable, undisclosed. He did leave the game late, but I think he's fine, everything that I read. Barry 6, and Shea Theodore is underpriced, in my opinion, 5.9. Anybody here on D? You just going all wild? Get Chikrin in there?
I thought about Chikrin. I'm going to use Shabbat, and I'm going to save some money at D with Drew Doughty. He's been really good all year, awesome. Playing top line, playing top power play. DFS at 5.7 right now on DraftKings. Yeah, sign me up. I got him and my second D in there right now.
Yeah, he's been really good. We talked about him last week. He's awesome. He's looking like the Doughty of old. Dumba's at 4.9, but again, I like Ryan Suter at 3.9. You get the power play correlation there, but it is a bit of a tough matchup. But at 3.9, that's not a bad price. Cam Fowler at 3.9 as well. I like that one quite a bit. That's it. Like, I'm always trying to find cheap D. I think the cheapest defenseman I would go with tonight is Eric Brandstrom, 2.9 for the Sens. He's getting a little bit more ice time lately. Oh, what happened to him? He played 5 minutes last night. Did he leave the game? Did I miss that? Maybe don't play Eric Brandstrom. Okay. Brandstrom was starting to get a little bit more ice time. He had 3 straight games with, it was like 13, 15, and then 16. And getting some power play time, but something must have happened to him last night. I must have missed it. I don't know. I watched that game too. I don't know what happened to him. So I guess the cheapest I would go here, really, if there was no Branstrom, I would think about Mike Riley at 3.4, getting some second power play time. But the cheapest I'd probably go, honestly, is like Bouchard, Vince Dunn, Fowler. But I don't think you need to go there. I don't think you need to spend all the way down on defense. I think Erik Karlsson at 4.2, even though we're repping him a bit, he is, he's blocking some shots, 6 blocks in the past 2 games. He's got 3 points in his past 4, playing 22 plus minutes every single night. So that's kind of where I would go. The Colorado guys are interesting. I mean, Sam Girard at 5.2, if there's going to be no Makar, right? He's got 2 points in his last game. Look at the ice time, 25, 25, 28, 24. I know the past 2 games have gone to overtime, but he's just playing a lot. Like, if I had to choose between him and Taves, it would be Girard. Quinn Hughes is interesting at 5.52 as well. But I think, I want to get my defense in with my forwards. If I can get to Barry at 6, he's dropped down a little bit. That's fine. Petrie in with the Habs, and Justin Falk or Torrey Krug in with the Blues guys. Like Krug is pretty cheap. What's he at? Torrey Krug, 5.6. That's not bad for him. He's got 3 points in his past 2 games, playing a lot as well. What about in goal? What do we do here? Like Mike Smith, 8.4 up at the top. I don't know if I can get there. 8.3. You're not going to get there. 8.3 for Grubauer. Bennington's 8.2. I don't mind that one. He had the freak out the last time he played. He got pulled. And
Wild.
Remember,
he's a lunatic.
Sucker punched Karlsson and he almost sucker punched Karlsson.
Here's what I know is, if I'm Jordan Binnington, I'm not trying to start anything with Devin Dubnyk. I mean, you're a better goalie, but Devin Dubnyk is a monster of a man, and Bennington is maybe 160 pound and would just get absolutely pummeled.
Yeah, no doubt. Price 7.9, Gibson 7.8, Quick 7.7. That's kind of the range I'd like. I think I would go maybe Quick if he gets the nod 7.7. I mean, Demko's 7.3. If you guys are feeling him, I mean, he's been pretty good lately. Eric,
Yeah.
are you 7.3? Save your cash with Demko? You know that
On
Habs are
goal.
going to probably put 30 shots on goal. I mean, they lead the league in shots per 60 minutes, so you get that save bonus if you can get you 35.
Yeah, I like that. I also like Darcy Kemper for Arizona. I think the Avs will shoot the puck a ton, and Kemper. It might be a rant. I'm just gonna have to keep an eye on that because I don't know who's going to
They've both
start.
been
I
good
think
lately.
I think that's the thing is, I mean, both goalies for Arizona, even when Arizona was a bad hockey team, and they're not right now, their goaltending is always good. I don't know if it's structure or what it is. I don't know if it's sand or the desert air, but there's something about the goaltending there. Even Aiden Hill, when he came in this year, he played really well.
Fleury's 8.1. I don't mind that. That's a discount because of playing the Wild. He's just been lights out. I mean, the 942 save percentage, he's been so darn good. Like, look at the fantasy points, 26, 30, 10, 18. So, like, 18 is kind of the floor, 33, 17, 31. He's been really good. But I think LA or Bennington. I think my favorite would be, I'm not going to get to Grubauer, and I don't spend up at goal for Mike Smith. Like, I'm just not going to get there. So I think maybe Fleury, Bennington, and Quick, like those would be my three I'm into. And I actually don't mind Demko as much as I like the Habs. I'd like to save some money on goaltenders, and if I can get that save bonus, that would be fine. Recap, Matt. What do you think? Give us a little recap, DFS, of your thoughts.
I think tonight I'm going to just play in some tournaments instead of some cash games because I think there's a lot of underdog spots that we can attack here. Whether it's going after a guy like Demko, just in spite of you, I think that's what I might do.
That's fine. I like it.
But I think it's just a tournament kind of day for me. Take a few contrarian plays and be on my way. And maybe just have Connor McDavid at the top, and that's it. Just because on the off chance that he explodes again, it's not even an off chance when he just finds his game back. And I don't want to miss on that in a tournament. And I'd rather not be stupid contrarian, and I'd rather just be smart contrarian for the rest of the way.
I like it. EY, recap your picks. You're on the Sens.
Yep. I'm on the Sens. I'm on the Coyotes, Garland and Schmaltz, who have played really well together. Kemper in net. I got Doughty and Shabbat on defense. That's my lineup I'm going with. I'll probably make a couple different lineups throughout the day, like Maddie said, in some bigger tournaments, throw $1 here and there. Just get wild with it.
I like it. All right. So, Matt, what do you got for us for Friday?
Friday, you gave out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. One of them was a push. So Mini you got, Boston you got, both money lines. LA you missed on the money line, so 2 for 3 on your money lines. Vegas puck line you hit. Boston and Washington under was a push, which makes you 3 for 4, 66 out of 108. And I talked to you about this. We're gonna start tracking your shot props. We're gonna give like 3 key shot props per day. But if you listen to the show, you listen to about 30 different shot props, and there's probably a good success rate on those. But we'll give out your key picks and we'll give out your key props at the end, and I'll just track those separately.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. These are the picks I think I have tonight: Vegas, St. Louis, Montreal, and LA. Those are the 4. Just stick with those 4. For the shots, Matt Zuccarello 1.5 plus 100. Max Pacioretty 3.5 minus 167. So that's the same game. You can play them as singles. Maybe you can mix and match with some other parlays. Man, I really want to do Randon, but minus 200 is no good. If you can find Randon somewhere else around minus 170, 175, as high as minus 180, I would go there. But we won't put him in there at minus 200. So Zuccarello, Pacioretty, Perron, 2.5 plus 115. Dustin Brown, 2.5 minus 125. So there's 4 for you. I like a whole lot over at ftnbets.com. Use a promo code Meaney. I'll just check out a couple that we don't have to keep track of if you're looking for some more Landeskog, Toffoli, Anderson, Raquel. So those are all ones that I like. First time, anytime goals. let's just go with Riley Smith here. Riley Smith, I do like Alex Tuck if there's no if there's no Stone, but Riley Smith, there's something there, guys. 14-1. Yamamoto, 13-1. Perron, 12-1. Dustin Brown, 13-1. And if you're a complete psycho, Kotkaniemi, 19-1. If you just want better odds, better chance, Anderson or Toffoli. They're hovering around the 10-1, 14-1 mark. Eric, always a pleasure, man. Maddie, thank you so much as always. Any questions up at the YouTube? We'll circle back before puck drop. Good luck tonight. We'll catch you tomorrow or Wednesday. Cheers.